Jak and Daxter was one of the first cutesy character-driven platform games to be released on the PlayStation 2 about 2 years ago. So now we've got the game's sequel on our hands in Jak 2, but if you spend just a few minutes with the game, you'll find out that it's quite a different experience than the original. The first difference you'll notice between Jak 2 and its predecessor is that the tone of the game has gotten a lot darker. The game starts off with Jak and Daxter and their two friends Kira and Samos from the first game messing around with some precursor machinery that they found. And through some button-pressing hijinks, they end up opening a rift in space and basically getting flung through this portal. And when they land, Jak and Daxter have been separated from their friends, and they find themselves in this sort of grimy dystopian city, and Jak is immediately bludgeoned by these armored guards and thrown into jail. So Jak is imprisoned for 2 years by Baron Praxis, who's the ruler of this city, Haven City, that they found themselves in. And while he's in prison, the Baron experiments on him with Dark Eco, which is the strange energy source from the first game. And after 2 years, Daxter finally decides to come along and rescue Jak, and he busts him out of prison, and they make their way out into Haven City and start mingling with the populace. Almost immediately after your prison break, you'll run into an underground resistance movement that's fighting against the Baron's rule. You'll find that once you get involved with the underground, if you've played Grand Theft Auto, the gameplay will seem very familiar to you. You make your way around Haven City, which is really alive with pedestrians and people on hover cars that you can commandeer and drive around the city. You'll be moving around between different key story characters that are represented as icons on your mini-map. And you'll basically go and talk to each character and have a cutscene that'll move the plot along, and they'll give you a new objective, and you'll have to go and complete this mission. So you're basically going back and forth through the city, just carrying these missions out to move the story. The actual missions themselves are where fans of the original Jak and Daxter will feel most at home because they're pretty much set up like typical platforming levels. They take place in unique levels that are mostly located outside of Haven City, and the content of the missions in Jak 2 is what will feel most familiar to fans of the original Jak and Daxter because it's pretty much set up like your standard 3D platformer. The missions mostly take place in unique levels that are set outside of Haven City, and they have you running and jumping and generally exploring the area while you try to complete your objective. The mission objectives themselves are pretty varied. Sometimes you'll be escorting AI characters that are sympathetic to your cause, and sometimes they'll actually fight alongside you. Sometimes you'll just be going through a level to retrieve an artifact or flip a switch, something like that. Sometimes you have to deliver something in Haven City in a set time limit. There's just a wide variety of things to do, which definitely keeps things interesting. Jak 2's platforming fundamentals are pretty much old hat for anybody that's familiar with the genre. Jak still has the same moves that he had in the first game. He can spin around, he can do the butt stomp, the double jump, that kind of thing. This time he also has a few guns at his disposal. You've got things like a shotgun, a rifle, a machine gun. And it seems kind of strange to add guns to a game that relies on typical platforming melee attacks, but they actually work really well together. You can switch between your guns quickly enough that you can actually combine the gun attacks with your melee attacks to create some pretty cool combos. So even just fighting the standard enemies can be pretty entertaining as you find new ways to kill stuff. Jak has a couple more snazzy moves that have been added to his arsenal. He can turn into Dark Jak now, which is a form that was enabled by all the experiments that were conducted on him while he was imprisoned. This form basically just gives you increased speed and damage for your melee attacks. It's just like a berserker form of Jak, basically. And finally, he'll get a hoverboard a few hours into the game that you can use to zoom around the city and the various levels more quickly. And you can also take it to a skate park that's located in town and pull off some Tony Hawk-style tricks for points. Naughty Dog has always been known as a really technically adept developer. They've always had some of the best-looking games on both the PlayStation and the PlayStation 2. And Jak 2 absolutely lives up to their legacy. It's pretty much one of the best-looking games you can find on the PS2 right now. The environments are huge and lush. They've got tons of detail. They're really colorful. The characters are incredibly detailed. The character animation is excellent. Overall, if you're looking for a game to show off the PS2's graphical capabilities, this is the game to do it with. The sound in Jak 2 is pretty solid package too. The sound effects are nice and weighty. They've got some punch to them. The voice acting is all excellent. It's pretty much all professional quality. And the music is good too. It's not especially memorable, but it definitely won't get on your nerves while you're playing. Jak 2 has a lot of separate parts, and they all come together to make a really solid game. From the sound of things, you might think it's a little derivative of Grand Theft Auto, and in a way it is, but nobody condemned the first Jak and Daxter for being a clone of Super Mario 64, so that shouldn't stop you from checking this game out either. If you're a fan of the original Jak and Daxter or of Grand Theft Auto, or especially if you're a fan of both, then you'll find a lot to like in Jak 2.